This lesson, we're going to focus on feedback. When you initiate in communication, you are the sender. You're sending the message. The receiver, which could be one person or many people, they are encoding when they receive your message. The receiver then decodes the information to understand the communication and then sends you, the speaker, back feedback. Now, what does this mean? It means either a verbal feedback, such as, yes, I understand, or in many cases, nonverbal, smiles, sighs. Feedback can also be in written communication, such as emails. The feedback is important to you as a public speaker because you need to learn how to read your audience's response. It lets you figure out how effective your message is at being received. If your audience members don't understand what you mean, you'll be able to tell by their facial expressions, in which then you need to restate the information you just presented, but restate it in a different form. Now let's talk about sending and receiving feedback. Feedback enables us to evaluate the effectiveness of our message. When feedback is done correctly, it's an excellent tool for learning. In this course, you will be part of peer evaluations. At the end of every speech night, we'll break up into peer speech groups in which you'll let speakers know positive and negative aspects of their speech. This is why it's important to pay attention to what feedback is and how to send and receive it. Now, in receiving feedback, sometimes we may become angry or defensive. Sometimes people have difficulty in accepting feedback. Using techniques that lowers your levels of emotion will help you to stay balanced when receiving that feedback. So let's talk about receiving feedback, especially when you're getting negative feedback. First of all, try to separate out what is being said from how it's being said. Think about the words. Do you understand where the criticism is coming from? Do you feel that there's some truth in what was just said? Has this sort of thing been said to you before? In your heart, did you know there was a problem, but you were just hoping no one else would notice? Understand the intention and purpose of feedback. It is not to beat you down, and it is not to make you feel less confident. It is there to help motivate and build you to become a better speaker. Try not to be defensive. Concentrate on how the feedback will enable you to give a better presentation the following week. Learn to listen. You don't have to accept all of the feedback, but do keep an open mind and focus on the future. If you receive feedback and you're unsure as to what the individual meant, ask questions for clarification. You can verify the accuracy too by getting feedback from more than one source. If you hear multiple times from your audience members that your body language was confusing, then perhaps watch your performance video to see if you can figure out why your audience members were so confused. Ask for advice on how to do things differently. If someone says they didn't like your words, ask them to clarify. Perhaps they have other words that they would have chosen instead. Learn to respond and not to react. It's very difficult sometimes, but don't take feedback personally. Now let's talk about giving feedback. Number 1 rule: you'll be met with a lot less force if you offer feedback in a positive process and experience. Keep in mind that the purpose of feedback is to improve the situation or performance. You won't see accomplishments if you're harsh or too critical. That doesn't mean you have to only bring out positive aspects. It just means that if you want to change someone's mind, you're most likely to get them to see your side of it by giving more positive words and not using attacking words. Try to prepare your comments ahead of time. You need to be clear about what it is that you're going to say. This helps you to stay on track and to stick to the issues without getting emotionally attached. Be precise in what it is that you say. This ensures too that you stick to facts and that there's less room for emotional outbursts. If you're going to tell someone that they acted unprofessionally in their speech, be sure that you can tell them exactly what it is that you found to be unprofessional. Be sure to be descriptive. Very important is to use I statements. When you're giving feedback, you're giving it from your perspective. Say, I was angry and hurt when you criticized my report, rather than telling someone that they were insensitive. When you own the statement, it makes it a lot easier for the listener to receive it. Limit your focus. Feedback sessions should discuss no more than 2 issues. Any more than that, you'll risk the person feeling attacked, and then they'll no longer listen. Be sure that when you are giving feedback, that you're focusing on the needs of the speaker. Keep in mind that when you're giving feedback, it's your job to help the speaker to become an even better speaker than what he or she already is. So feedback should be given in order to be helpful, not to hurt. Be sure to provide suggestions as to how the speaker can improve upon his or her skills. When you have the time, you can ask the speaker to evaluate his or her own performance. Sometimes by doing this, the speaker can already tell you what he or she feels that they need to improve on. Be sure that you are sincere in both the intention and manner of giving feedback. Keep in mind that you are there to help, not to hurt. There are some phrases and words to try to avoid. These words and phrases actually have a negative tone and can actually make our feedback be received in a negative aspect. Be sure that during feedback sessions, that not only do you offer suggestions for improvement, but you also praise the speaker too on any skill or skills you saw them present that night. When giving feedback, it's best to think of it like an Oreo. You want to start off with positive aspects that the speaker has, and then layer underneath it some criticism or some aspects in which need to be addressed. But be sure to finish the feedback again in a positive manner. This way, when you give feedback, it's positive improvements, positive. Feedback is a way for us to keep learning. Only by receiving evaluations and feedback will we know our strengths and weaknesses. And once we know those weaknesses, we know how to improve on them. This has covered the study on feedback, both on how to give it and how to receive it.